The First Minister, John Swinneys, has warned that Scotland is not immune to what he calls the threats facing modern democracy. He's to host a summit on Wednesday to protect and strengthen the democratic values which he says underpin who we are as Scots, and to unite Scotland against the increasingly extreme far right. He's invited leaders from across Civic Scotland to attend, as well as Scotland's political parties, except Reform UK, which obtained 7% of the vote in last year's UK general election here in Scotland. Well, let's speak to Glasgow Councillor Thomas Kerr, who joined Reform from the Scottish Conservatives in January, and he joins me in the studio now. Thanks for coming in.
You're very welcome.
Why do you think the Scottish Government haven't invited you to their summit?
I think this is all a political stunt, and I think that it's a real worry when the First Minister of Scotland would use a platform that he has to play politics the way in which he has. And this is taxpayers' money. I think we need to remember as well that it's been used on this summit to try and hold us. I think that it's a stunt by John Swinneys to try and play politics against a political party and his opponents that he doesn't like. But my message to Mr Swinneys is, beat us at the ballot box. Don't try and threaten people and scare people off of voting for Reform. There is 7%, as you said, at the general election. We're now polling around 17% in Scotland. People are scunnered and fed up. And having the political establishment sit around a table and discuss how much they don't like us is not going to do anything other than encourage more people to say, well, actually, these guys are really talking some sense.
He's talking a lot about the democratic values, which he says underpin who we are as Scots. Now, you might interpret that as him saying that Reform do not represent Scottish opinion. And I guess when you look at issues like immigration, the Scottish attitudes, according to opinion polls, suggest that Scots are more favourable to immigration than they are down south, for example. So hasn't he got a point that Scotland is different?
He doesn't. You've actually just made the point as to why we have a democracy. If John Swinneys doesn't like our values and doesn't like our policies, then he's absolutely entitled to debate any day of the week against Reform, go out and make his case and fight us in an election. That's what democracy is about. But to try and call this sort of civic Scotland against Reform to me, it looks absolutely ludicrous. It's a First Minister who's way overstepped his mark. And I think it kind of, it's a democracy denial in of itself. You let the electorate decide. And as you say, I understand where opinion polls sit, but right now Reform is sitting at 17%. That's higher than the Scottish Conservatives, it's higher than the Lib Dems, it's higher than the Greens. And I think that in itself shows that people in Scotland are switching their minds alongside to look at a different political party.
If you were invited to the summit between now and Wednesday, maybe not likely, but would you go?
I don't know. I don't think so, to be honest with you. I would have liked him an invite, because I am repulsed by those in the far right and racists as much as anyone. So I'd more than happy speak to John Swinneys if it was a serious debate about how we try and tackle that.
That's interesting. You distance yourself from the far right because the First Minister suggests Reform is far right. So how would you define far right, and how is Reform different from that?
Well, I think if you look at far right in itself as an ideology of extreme thuggish attitudes towards people from minorities. Reform's political platform is that we want to clamp down on illegal immigration. We want to make sure that we secure our borders. We want to make low taxes. We're a right-wing political party. John Swinneys a left-wing politician. That's absolutely fine. We are two different sides of the political spectrum. That's why you debate each other. But when you start using brandishing titles like far right, you end up losing all meaning. So I deplore racists and far right rhetoric as much as anyone. And I'm happy to speak to John Swinneys or anyone about how we try and fix that.
Don't you accept that anti-immigration policies, while in themselves might not be racist, that rhetoric surrounding it can often cause people to believe that Reform is far right and even be a cloak to mask racism? We know there have been people in your party who've espoused very racist views.
There's been people in all political parties who've said stuff that are to the extreme. I remember there was SNP councillors that were suspended for using a very derogatory racist term as well. Every political party brings in people that causes issues, but to say that because you disagree with illegal immigration, you want to clamp down and make sure we secure our borders is racist, I think is fundamentally wrong. It's an argument to have in a policy debate, in a policy platform, absolutely. But as I keep getting to the key point of this summit is this is taxpayers' cash and a First Minister who I think has way overstepped his mark in an anti-democratic summit. John Swinneys wants to beat us. He can absolutely stand against us. He will next year at the Holyrood election. We will debate each other. We will debate policy. Beat us at the ballot box, but don't try and scare people off of voting for us.